KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
The two RTR cars, Elliot Draftler and Dale Carrett, will start in the front row. Row 2 has Ryan Newcar, the Rocket, with Tony Gasworth to his outside. Row 3 has Joe Brakecheck, who's back, starting in 5th, with Bobby Carboni to his outside. Row 4 has The King, who will be making his very last Calladega start, and Greg People to his outside. Two rookies in row 5, Lightning McQueen and Carl Edwards, both looking for the next win. Lightning trying to make it 3 in a row. Row 6 has Matt Karseth and Jeff Gorvette, both not starting badly. Row 7 has another rookie, Kyle Bushtire, with Kevin Shiftwright to his outside. Kevin Shiftwright hoping to get another win as well. Row 8 has Martin Karks Jr., making his last start of the season with Jeff Burnton to his outside. Row 9 has Chuck Armstrong and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's going to try to get his 5th win at this track. Row 10 has, oh no! The Mean Green Car, Chex! And Jamie McCarry to his outside. Row 11 has Kurt Bushtire and Billy Oilchanger to his outside. He hasn't won in a while. Row 12 has Sage Vanderspin and Mark Carton, who has yet to win this season. Row 13 has Michael Cartrip and Eugene Komareski. Hopefully he doesn't wreck Ken Schrader. Row 14 is Brian Vickers and Casey Corner, both looking for their first win. Row 15 has Ernie Gearson, looking for his first win in many years, and Maury Clutchberg, just hoping to have a good finish. Row 16 has Krusty Roeder, showing that he actually qualified, and Jeremy Carfield to his outside. Row 17 has Johnny Blamer, hoping not to wreck, and Hall Ingus, the winner of the other Calladega race this season. Row 18 has Todd Marcus and Misty Motocross. Claude Scruggs will not be complaining. Row 19 has Winford Bradford Rutherford and Lee Revkins, who makes another start this season. Row 20 has Ken Schrader and James Cleanair, who are both just happy to qualify today. Row 21 has Rusty Wheelhouse and Kevin Carvick. How are they starting back there? And starting in 43rd is Nick Charger, who qualifies. And these 4 cars, how did you lose to Nick Charger? Now onto the race. Elliot Draftler would lead the first lap before he'd lose the lead to Tony Gasworth. And he'd lead into the second lap where Elliot Draftler's teammate Dale Carrett would take the lead from Tony Gasworth, leading to lap 3 where Elliot Draftler would retake the lead. He'd lead into lap 9 where Matt Karseth would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 1 lap before Lightning McQueen would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 5 laps before Elliot Draftler would retake the lead, leading for 2 laps before Hall Ingus, the winner of the previous Calladega race, would take the lead for 3 laps. But then, oh no! The Mean Green Car, Chex, is 12th as of lap 19, where he wrecks Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Carton, Michael Cartrip, and Johnny Blamer. Why? Chuck Armstrong would take the lead on lap 21, leading for 2 laps before he'd lose the lead to Matt Karseth. He'd lead until lap 29, where Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. But on lap 30, just a lap later, Matt Karseth would retake the lead. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Tony Gasworth would be back in the lead. He'd lead for the remainder of lap 32, where Kevin Carvick would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Chuck Armstrong would take the lead for the rest of lap 34. Kurt Bushtire would take the lead on lap 35, leading to lap 41, where The King would take the lead from him. He'd lead for a whole 6 laps before Jamie McCarry would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 51, where Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Jamie McCarry retakes the lead, leading for another 2 laps before Tony Gasworth once again takes the lead, leading for only 1 lap before Jamie McCarry again retakes the lead. But on lap 55, Tony Gasworth would retake the lead, leading into lap 57 where a different car, Joe Brakecheck, would take the lead. He'd lead into lap 58 where Brian Vickers would take the lead from him. He'd lead into lap 59 where the Mean Green Car, Chex, would only lead for 2 turns. But on lap 60, Brian Vickers would be back in the lead. But on lap 63, Hall Ingus would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading for 3 laps before Jamie McCarry would retake the lead, leading for a whole 8 laps before the mean green car Chitex would be 7th as of lap 77, where he wrecks Jeff Burnton, Nick Charger, who flips Jeff Corvette, Winford Bradford Rutherford, and Krusty Rotor. Why? Jeremy Carfield would take the lead after the restart, leading for only 1 lap, before Kevin Karvik would retake the lead, leading until lap 82, where Matt Karzith would retake the lead, leading until lap 88, where his teammate Kurt Buschtire would take the lead from him, leading for the rest of the lap. But then Jamie McCarry would take the lead on lap 89, leading to lap 90, where Ken Schrader would take the lead on lap 91, without being wrecked. Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading all the way to lap 96, where Brian Vickers would once again retake the lead, leading until lap 97, where the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, would take the lead from him, leading to lap 109. Kevin Shiftwright would take the lead for the rest of lap 109, where Jamie McCarry would pass him right before the start-finish line, leading to lap 114, where Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him, leading for 5 laps before Jamie McCarry retakes the lead. He wouldn't lead for that long, leading to lap 120, where Tony Gasworth retakes the lead. And he leads for 9 laps before the rookie, Lightning McQueen, would take the lead from him. But then, 2 laps later, Matt Karzith would retake the lead from Lightning McQueen, but on lap 132, Tony Gasworth would be back in the lead, leading for over 30 laps. And while that was happening, Kyle Buschtire and Sage Vanderspin are both out because of engine failures. Carl Edwards would take the lead from Tony Gasworth, leading for 2 laps before Tony Gasworth himself would retake the lead, leading for 5 laps before the King would retake the lead, leading until lap 170 would lose the lead to Kevin Shiftwright. Kevin Shiftwright would lead for 5 laps before Jamie McCarry would retake the lead, leading for a whole 8 laps before Todd Marcus would be 25th as of lap 183, where he wrecks Martin Carx Jr. Why? Jamie McCarry would take the lead after the restart, leading to lap 189, where Dale Cart would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 194, where Billy Oilchanger would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Hollingus would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 204, where Lightning McQueen would retake the lead, leading to lap 209, where he'd lose the lead to Kurt Buschtire. Kurt Buschtire would lead for a whole 9 laps before Hollingus would retake the lead. He'd lead for only 2 laps before Tony Gasworth would retake the lead. He'd lead until lap 226, where Matt Karzith would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 2 laps before Casey Corner would lead his first lap this race. And he'd lead until lap 232, where Chuck Armstrong would take the lead from him. He'd lead for the rest of the lap, but then Greg Beeple would take the lead, leading for a whole 4 laps before Hollingus would once again take the lead. He'd lead for 2 laps before the King would take the lead once more, leading until lap 243, where Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 5 laps before Carl Edwards would retake the lead. He'd lead until lap 255, where Hollingus would retake the lead. He'd lead until lap 263, where Dale Cart would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Hollingus retakes the lead after his pit stop. He leads for 8 laps before Lightning McQueen would retake the lead. He'd lead for 4 laps before the Mean Green Car Chitex would take the lead for 1 lap, but luckily the King passes him and takes the lead. He leads for 2 laps before Lightning McQueen, the rookie, retakes the lead. He'd lead until lap 284, where Kevin Karvik would retake the lead. He'd lead for 3 laps before Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 294, where Chuck Armstrong would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Ryan Newcar, the Rocket, would retake the lead. He'd lead for 3 laps before the Mean Green Car Chitex would take the lead until lap 303, where Greg People would luckily take the lead away from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Jamie McCarry would once again take the lead, leading until lap 310, where Kurt Busch-Tire would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 2 laps before Kevin Shiftwright would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 2 laps before Jax would take the lead once more. But luckily on lap 316, the King would retake the lead. He'd only lead for 2 laps before Hollingus would retake the lead, leading for 3 laps before the rookie Lightning McQueen would retake the lead. He'd lead another 3 laps. Tony Gasworth would retake the lead, leading for 4 laps before Greg Beeple would take the lead from him, leading for 2 laps before Kevin Shiftwright would inevitably take the lead, leading to lap 332 where Eugene Globoreski would be 23rd. As of lap 332, Woody Rex Ken Schrader. Well, of course he does that. Todd Marcus would take the lead after the restart, leading for 5 laps before he'd lose the lead to Matt Karzith. He'd lead until lap 341, where of course Tony Gasworth takes the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Matt Karzith retakes the lead again. He'd lead for 3 laps before Dale Cart would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 350, where Hollingus would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Kurt Busch-Tire would take the lead for 3 laps before the King would take the lead for not 3 laps, 2 laps. And Tony Gasworth would take the lead on lap 358, leading to lap 364, where the King would retake the lead, leading to lap 367, where Chuck Hicks would take the lead for 8 laps before Dale Cart would take the lead from him, leading for 4 laps. But then the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, would have to rocket up the field and take the lead. But 1 lap later, he'd lose the lead to Hollingus. Hollingus would lead for 8 laps before the King would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 393, where Jamie McCarry would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before Tony Gasworth would bump the Mean Green car into the wall. Hooray! The King would be the car that takes the lead, and he'd lead until lap 402, where Tony Gasworth would take the lead once more, leading for 4 laps before the King would retake the lead, leading for 5 laps, but then Tony Gasworth would retake the lead, leading for another 5 laps, but then the King would be the car that retakes the lead. He'd lead until lap 421, where Tony Gasworth would retake the lead, leading to lap 424, where the King, yet again, retakes the lead, leading for 3 laps before Tony Gasworth again takes the lead, leading to lap 434, where the King again would retake the lead, leading for 4 laps before Tony Gasworth yet again retakes the lead, leading to lap 443, where the King yet again retakes the lead. But he only leads for 2 laps because Tony Gasworth again retakes the lead, leading for 8 laps before the King yet again retakes the lead. But again, Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 460, where the King, after so many times, would retake the lead yet again, leading to lap 468, where Tony Gasworth would retake the lead again. And the King would take the lead on lap 476, leading to lap 480. How long are these 2 cars going to trade the lead? And of course, Tony Gasworth takes the lead on lap 480, leading for 4 laps until the King would lead until lap 487. But then Tony Gasworth would take the lead on lap 487, leading until lap 493, where finally a different car, Dale Cart, would take the lead, leading until lap 498, where Hollingus would take the lead for just 1 lap. But to take the white flag, it's Lightning McQueen who leads the final lap to win the 2005 Calladega 500. Lightning McQueen has chained 3 wins in a row. Brian Vickar sneaks into the top 10. And here is the top 20 in points, with Lightning McQueen building up a large points lead. Ryan Newcar's back in the top 22.